about it, but I figured this is Monday. We'll give him a chance to make sure he sees
You
the
sure it's Monday?
X-rays.
Been Monday since early.
Yes, it has. But the X-rays and all were done up here and sent to Springfield for interpretation. And
Those are all digital these days, aren't they?
yeah,
Did you, when you guys were still doing X-rays, were yours digital or you
No.
still had the old-fashioned film?
yeah. Well, we had an automatic film processor. Well, originally we, what do you call it? Developed them. We developed them
Had
by
a
hand.
dark room.
Yeah, I had a dark room. And then we got to the place that we had an automatic film processor. We still had the dark room because you had to go in and you feed them into the machine and
Change chemicals.
every couple of months.
Well, that's not too bad.
No,
So were your X-rays big giant things?
no. 14 by 17 was our biggest. I don't see anything here. It's a little bit
that's about like this.
It's a little bit bigger than the lid on that yellow box over there.
Okay, we have a question for your audience. What should your column be for the Ladies' Home Journal? No, for the Ohio Farm Journal this month. That was a big question you had today, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you write a column for that. Today we're going to talk about. We've talked about where kids can start out in 4-H. You
Right.
recommended sheep, goat,
Right.
lamb.
Are we online?
I think so.
Okay.
We are. So, and then as the kid gets a little older and gains a little more experience, we went to pigs, did a 3-session on that, talked about
Right.
the book of how to when you went whole hog.
Yes.
So
That book is a very useful book. And in addition, it's got a DVD in it
shows you how to show.
that, shows you how to show and the whole business. There's the DVD.
Yep.
Every book has one.
And then this is your latest book.
Yes. This book is 67 stories of different things that occurred over my career as a veterinarian. And some of them are really funny stories, and some of them are sad stories, and some of them are embarrassing to me because I admit to some of my foibles as far as screw ups I did and this sort of thing.
I'm not going to embarrass you.
No, you can do whatever.
Well, I was going to say maybe we go out to Koenig and see if they've got tractors. Since you, do they have any tractors that do the U-boat version?
No, they don't.
So, well, it was diesel. U-boats have a diesel engine in them, some of them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's referring to the fact that my tractor was drowned in the pond or in the creek when I had beaver build a dam across the creek, 4 foot high. And I went in with my tractor and loader and tore that out. And in the process of getting out and turned around, this sort of thing, the creek had a gravel bottom, so it looked like it was all good. I drove off into a hole and dropped my tractor in the water, down in the water, up over the platform of where I was sitting. And first thing you know, there was a big white cloud of smoke as it blew the engine on my tractor.
Sounds expensive.
It was.
It was expensive.
Yes.
Embarrassing and expensive.
Yeah. And the simplest thing to do is I bought a new tractor.
Yeah, because the engine was blown.
Yeah, and sold the tractor for parts.
Sold the carcass.
Yeah.
Sold the carcass to the processing plant.
Yeah.
Speaking of carcasses, hi Ruby. You want to say hi, Ruby? You're jiggling the table, Ruby. Come on over here. Okay. So today we're talking about how to, for those 4-H kids, they've graduated from pigs to steers. And I've got a scout who didn't win, but he captured okay, Ruby, you got to come over here. You got to present yourself. So there you go. He caught a steer at the calf scramble. and
Okay.
it's going to be delivered next week. I don't know. Anyway, he's done. He's going to obviously going to be raising that steer. So let's talk about what a kid needs to do in order to be able to do that.
Okay, that's great. Now, there's two different groups we're going to talk about here. One is that our county fair, Champaign County, has what's called the calf scramble. And in essence, they get 8 or 10 calves that are about 300 pounds to 400 pounds and have never basically hardly been around a human, off the pasture, and they separate them. They're not weaned yet, but they separate them for their mothers for this. And they turn they take the racetrack in front of the grandstand and put a fence up around a section of it about 50 yards and 30 yards wide. And they put the calves in there. Oh, and they take a fire truck and a fire hose and hose the track down. So it's about 4 inches of mud. And
they didn't have to do that for Ethan at Clark County Fair because they had 2.5 inches of rain an hour before. So it was like soup.
Yeah.
Like mud soup, chasing it down in mud soup.
Well, this tends to be that way anyway, because I think they pump about 4 inches of water on the track. So they do all that. They got these calves that's never been handled, really may have only seen humans a little bit. And they got them out there, and there's a fence around so they can't.
So how many
escape.
calves they put out there?
Well, I think they had 8.
8, and then they have like 30 kids or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think they had 2 heats. I wasn't able to make the contest this year, which means that they would have had maybe 6 calves or per heat, and they'd have 25 to 30 boys in each heat. And
the girls are doing it too.
Well, on pigs.
I think. Well, I don't know. I'll have to ask you.
I wasn't there this year to say, but I can tell you they've always did the girls catching scrambled pigs. That's what.
Champaign County. I don't know. Well, who knows? Well,
yeah. So anyway,
go next year and find out.
Kids come dressed appropriately. That means boots or work shoes and jeans and
helmets,
football helmets and gloves and everything they could need to catch these calves. And so they've got maybe 15 boys per heat that are lined up in a line, and the calves are down on the far end of the enclosed space, and they go down and scare the calves a little bit so they get riled up and they're goosey and running around. And then they blow the whistle, and the boys, they have a halter, and the deal is they got to catch a calf, put the halter on, and drag or lead the calf to the winner's circle. And they have out in the center about a 10-foot in diameter white line that you drag the calf to it, and the calf is yours. It actually is going to be your calf. And for those that were lucky enough to catch a calf, they take them home and they spend a year raising them, and they got to feed them during that time.
How much do these things weigh when they're chasing these things down?
300, 350, maybe 400 max, but 350 generally. And so they've done all that, and they have to lead it to the winner's circle. And then there's some adults there that will, when they get there, the adult will take the calves on the halters, which they aren't halter broke or anything, and literally kind of drag them or back them into getting back on the trailer. And the calves go home to mom, and that meaning their mother, cow, and they're usually weaned this month. And the calves are then delivered, each calf delivered to the boy that caught it, and they have to feed it for the next year and bring it back to the fair next year's fair, and they have a special class for scramble calves that, in essence, the kids have had to tame them down, break them to a halter, and feed them during that time to make sure they gain well and that they're well fitted for the fair. And they have to give them baths, and they clip them, and they fit them with all the things, and they put these little fluffy things on their tail or fluff up their tail so that it's all fluffy, just like a special show class. And then the calves are led in to the scramble class, and they select a champion from them at the fair. And understand, it isn't because you have a superior eye on selecting the right calf. It's that you caught a calf and got a halter on him and drug him to the circle, and then you just hope that his quality was such that he'll win grand champion. And
So how do you raise it?
so
if the kids, we've got two strikes. The kid has to go get a steer.
Yeah.
And I know you talked about the kids should have a couple of pigs and a couple of goats. Should the kid have a couple of steers?
At least something. In other words, it could be a goat or something like that
to keep it company.
But it has to have a companion. And a lot of times they'll have a calf or a cow or something at home that the calf's with it, because if you put them in a pen by themselves, they'll eat poorly and they will not grow well over the year for next year's fair.
So what kind of facility do you need to have for the calf? Do you need to have a couple of acres of pasture?
Well, that'd be nice to have, but if they have a 8x10 shelter to be able to get out of the weather, and perhaps something to block the wind some for in the wintertime. And generally you hope that they have a half an acre or maybe an acre that they put that calf out to. And one of the things I've always suggested to my clients, boys that were doing this is to put the shelter, make a shelter for them and put it on skids. And that way, when the shelter gets dirty, you don't have to clean it out or anything. You just take the four-wheeler and drag the shelter over to a dry spot.
Or the tractor.
Yeah, or the tractor, take it over. And so they do that. And so they have this special class. Well, then they have scramble calves, but they also then have another division, scramble pigs, and girls are the ones that try out for this. And both groups have to write an essay about what they're going to do with the calf or the pigs and things like that. They actually have to write a scholarly paper on it. And so the pigs, they do the same with them. They oil them down so they're really slippery, and they line the girls up the same way. Sit down. And so
got his own calf right here, huh?
The thing is to they got these pigs oiled down, and they have maybe 14 girls and 8 hogs or something like that, and line
the hogs
girls
are what,
up,
40 pounds?
Generally 40 or 50 pounds, and they've been oiled, so they're really, as I said, they're really slick. And they got them riled up, so they're running around in there. And these girls, each of them, if they get a pig, they've got to catch the pig, and they pick them up and carry them to the winner's circle. This 40 or 50 pound pig, which obviously has never been handled, and you can imagine how squirmy they'd be in their arms to get there. And then those are put back on a trailer, and a swine producers supplied the pigs, and they take them home. But those aren't the pigs that'll be exhibited at the fair, because in March they have made arrangements for a group of pigs that weigh in that 40 to 50 pound range for them to grow and raise, so that they'll be 250 to 300 pounds at the fair. And unlike the calves, which you can keep them all year to get them there, the pigs, about 6 months is how long it takes from birth to them being market weight.
So they get the steer, and when they get this steer is what, 400 pounds maybe?
Yeah, 350 to 400.
Yeah, and depending upon what breed, depends upon how big it's going to get. But how big will the steer get by the time? Well, our fair is in August, so first week of August. So
Well, the thing of it is with these is that some of the breeds like Charolais and Simmental can be a lot more frisky to deal with, and so they stick to European breeds, and it generally means Angus. They primarily have Angus calves, and they want them, and you take care of them, feed them, do all the things that need to be done, deworm them, and so forth, and they will generally weigh 12 to 1,300 pounds at next year's fair. And fortunately, the student has halter broke it well enough that they can handle them pretty
and
readily.
show. So there's a lot of work involved.
Yes, very much.
So what kind of a budget should parents be thinking about for a steer to feed it for the year?
Well, feed is cheap these days.
Farmers aren't making much money on corn and soybeans, that's
Yes,
for sure.
and
It's terrible.
I would suggest $700 or $800 to get it there. But understand, when they sell that calf, in other words, they have a special sale for it, and calves like that are selling typically for $2,000 and this sort of thing. And they have I don't know what the policy is now because I'm no longer one of the deciders of it, but they make sure that every calf, it gets sold at market price, but there are citizens and businesses in the community that have contributed money to it.
Participate in the auction.
And so that each kid is going to get $400 or $500 more than what the market price was on his calf.
Yeah, it's a good day. And this year was a pretty strong year too. Businesses and people really stepped up this year at the Champaign County Fair.
Right.
So,
and this has been going on ever since, since the early 1900s that they've done this every year.
And since FFA, or excuse me, since 4-H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4-H.
And
now FFA kids can do it too, but it's a 4-H sponsored event.
Yeah. So, okay. So they've got to have a pen. They've got to have some room so that they can teach them how to behave on the halter and show them. And obviously they're probably going to get involved with a club.
Right.
That's going to have an advisor.
Right.
And
the advisor is usually a person that is really good about giving advice to the students and encouraging them on what they need to do with their calf.
And then, of course, they're going to have some responsibilities for the healthy animal. So they've got to deworm, they've got to have right vaccinations, etc.
Right.
And so you've kind of got a book about that too, don't you?
I do. Now, this was written for Holsteins, but the principles are exactly the same for all the kind of calves, and that's complete.
Now, do you still have these in stock?
I do.
Okay, so this is a complete guide to raising dairy feeder calves for show and for market.
That's right.
Yep, and you can order that one along with you go in whole hog from your website at Vaca Resources, vacaresources.com.
Right.
And the same with your book. And your book's available on Amazon, and going whole hog for pigs for the girls and for
and
boys.
if they order it from my website, which is vacaresources.com, if they order it from there, I always sign the book so that they have an autographed copy. And we generally process an order whenever we get an order for a book within about 24 hours. We'll have it back in the mail to them.
So this is a pretty thorough book here too.
Yes.
Yep. It talks about all the aspects that you need to participate in. So the steer, will that come castrated or not?
I believe it generally has been neutered.
Neutered.
What other method, whether it be a band or castration or whatever has been done.
Yep. And generally those are steers, as you said.
Yes.
So not heifers.
Right.
Yep.
Well, they're never heifers. They're always steers.
Yeah. Well, see, that shows off my expertise, which is zilch. So what kind of what kind of routine from the veterinary standpoint will the young people need to participate in?
That's an excellent question because people don't normally know this part of it. Every animal owner, student, needs to have what's called a VCPR. And VCPR stands for Veterinary Client Patient Relationship. And that, by the way, this is mandated in the FDA and the veterinary division of the FDA that there be a veterinarian available to a student that has an animal project. And many times they'll invite a veterinarian to come to the club if it's a cattle club or and actually give a talk about the requirements of what needs to be done. But there has to be, it isn't that the veterinarian has to go out and do anything with the steer if everything's going fine, but they have to have a veterinarian that they've talked to that they said, hey, if we have an issue, would you help us or give us advice or whatever? But that's mandatory.
So there's some things that they've got to do, like dehorning, huh?
Well, in Angus, they don't have to dehorn. They're usually polled.
Okay. When you talk about that. So what kind of nutrition, what kind of feed should they be planning on getting?
Well, they're a mixed type of hay. Second or third cutting is probably best. And they don't need a lot of hay, just as they grow, maybe a couple pound and a day. And it's always wise. My advice is to students is to give them their hay first and get them to eat some of the hay, which stimulates their GI tract for fermentation and all that, and then give them their grain. And once you get them past that first couple weeks, that you are very careful about how much you give them. Once you get past that period, then you keep, and you're always giving them the hay to make sure they've eaten that, and you keep increasing the amount of grain concentrate that they get slowly, keep stepping it up. And so that by the time they get to 1,200 pounds, they may be eating 10 or 12 pounds of grain.
So, yeah, fairly significant amount. So,
and some may have available to corn solids or something like that, and that's perfectly fine to do. Although that, while it's very healthy for the calf, you're not going to get maximum performance in the rate of gain.
So you talked about grain concentrate. Anything that can help with growth?
The other thing is it's always useful that there are implants available, hormonal implants that stimulate growth. And the neat thing is the FDA has had these companies do enough research that they know how long those effects will last on the calf, like at 90 days or 120 days or 65 days. There's several of them out there, and each of them is different. But the idea is those need put in after the calf gets home early enough so that they've totally dissipated before it becomes exhibit time the following year. And so, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter whether you're doing 4-H projects or you got a commercial feedlot. There's a certain time that you could use a growth implant and do that sort of thing. And you also know how long you have to hold that animal before it goes to market after having that implant. And usually it's
You don't always have to use those implants though.
no.
Because
But
some people, they are absolutely against the implants.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Which
And
is
it's
which
not
is
a
fine.
problem. It's
Yeah.
not a problem.
What kind of diseases or in prevention should these young people be looking for?
Well, the first thing is that it's wise to check their temperature every day for that first 2 or 3 weeks, and you do that rectally. You can get a thermometer or electronic thermometer that takes maybe 30 seconds. You got the calf tied up and put it in the rectum, and then you can read it. And normal temperature for a calf is generally around 100 degrees, maybe 101. If it's 103 or more, then you need to be concerned that the calf might be getting ill. On the other hand, on a hot day like we've had this summer, when we've had a number of 95-degree days, 103 may very well be the more normal temperature just because of how hot it is out in the calf.
It's really important to have water available all the time.
That's a good point. Absolutely, always have water available.
Don't just, like you were preaching to us last week, don't just take water out twice a day. Make sure they have water on hand all day long.
Yeah, exactly.
And a place to get out from underneath the sun.
Yes, they got to have shade. And by the way, with our weather conditions, it really is special to have a fan that the calf can stand in front of to cool itself. And my own sons, when they were in 4-H, they asked me if they could cordon off a section and make a room in our barn. And they did. And it was, 14 by 16 maybe. And they put sides on
Where
it.
your mower is now, right?
Yes. And insulated it and put 2 fans and an air conditioner in it. I mean, my boys was into this big time. And in the daytime, and they had lights in there and hay and feed and all that sort of thing. And in the daytime, the calves spent it in there in the cool, and then they let them out for exercise at night. And we had like a 3-acre lot that calves could go
So
out
you had
and
that
hang.
all fenced off out there then?
Yes, yes,
Where you're mowing currently.
yes.
So,
But very useful to have some of those things and plan for that.
So to get them holder broke and get them ready for show, you got to work with them every day
Oh, absolutely.
and not wait until the last minute, but you've got to work with them every day.
No,
start
you're going
now.
to be in trouble if you don't. And oftentimes, if you're working with them every day, they'll get along that way. However, occasionally you'll get a resistant steer that just isn't. He's bucking the trim.
Now, I got a question though. Did your boys ever train their steers to chase cars like they did their pigs?
No. My boys' pigs did chase cars.
And that story's in your book.
Yep.
Beyond the Barn, dodging the cow patch for 50 years as a country vet.
Yeah.
Get it on his website, Vaca Resources, VACA resources.com, or on Amazon. If you get it on his website, you'll sign it.
That's right.
And you're using what, green crayon this week?
Well, yes. Yeah.
So anyway.
So the thing I was going to mention was occasionally you'll get a calf that's very resistant to being broke. And sometimes in family or friends or whatever, you get a donkey and give the donkey a thick halter to wear around its neck and tie the other end of the halter to the steer. And the steer tries to run off. And you know what a donkey does when the steer runs off? He just plants his feet and refuses to move.
Now, will that work with a mule also?
Yes.
So a mule or a donkey or a burro, which
Yes.
a burro is what? A wild donkey, right?
Yes.
So,
But yes, any of those will work. And there's some people that use that with them some. You give them, you tie them to the donkey and give them about 4 foot of lead rope. So they just don't have to be real close to them. And the idea is the calf can't go if the burro doesn't want to go because they're very stubborn about.
And a mule is the result of a male donkey and a horse
That's right.
and a mare.
Yes.
Now, what's the result? What's the name? I can't remember of a horse and a female donkey.
Uh,
I can't remember the name of that.
I think it's a henny.
Henny. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was right at the tip of my tongue. I couldn't remember. That's not as nearly as prevalent though as mule, is it?
No.
Because mules are very sure-footed, very hardworking.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but we really, and to my knowledge, in our area, we don't have any mules here. We've got donkeys, but not.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of donkeys, but very few mules.
Right.
You've treated a few mules in your time.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
I have.
So what if a calf gets constipation? What do you do there?
Well, it's unlikely they'll get constipation, but if they do, why we give them anywhere from a quart to a half a gallon of mineral oil with a stomach tube. Put a stomach tube down to their rumen, and
That sounds like
Pump it
something
in.
a vet should do, or somebody who
Yes.
really knows what they're doing.
yes, definitely.
Doesn't sound like somebody brand new to
Right.
doing that.
Now, on the other hand, it's usually not constipation is the issue. The issue normally is diarrhea. And in that case, you can purchase diarrhea pills. And with a short piece of pipe like this, you slide that back in their mouth so that it gets back to past their tongue. And you can push the pills, and the pills are about as big as that. Push the pills down the pipe and they'll swallow them. Or there's a regular thing called a balling gun, which is what veterinarians use and that sort of thing. But without purchasing a balling gun, if you have a piece of plastic pipe that's an inch in diameter and maybe 18 inches long or 24 inches long, probably better, and you put that in their mouth and get it back behind their tongue, and then you just put the pills in and wiggle the pipe a little bit, and they'll swallow the pills.
Are there any other major things that, as far as diseases or things that the young people need to be concerned with?
Well, the biggie is a thing called Mannheimia, which is a bacteria, and it used to be called Pasteurella. I think maybe they even changed the name of that now. No, I'm sorry, I didn't. I was thinking of True Parelli, which is another bacteria that they can get and have abscesses and things like that. But at any rate, they more likely might have diarrhea or something like this. And if that's the case, you can purchase either from Tractor Supply or actually, I think they're not available now from Tractor Supply. I think they shut that all down. But from a veterinarian, or load the calf up and take it to the vet and have him look at it. And the reason I suggest that is it'll be less expensive if you take the calf to the veterinarian rather than.
And that can be kind of tough these days because large animal veterinarians are a little fewer and far between these days.
They are. It used to be that they were everywhere, but right now to this area, it's either go to Marysville or Maria Stein or.
Well, somebody said that there's a large animal vet over in St. Paris, but wasn't aware of that.
I don't think so anymore. There was for a while.
Yeah. Okay. Mannheimia or Pasteurella, pneumonia, right?
Yeah, enzootic pneumonia.
Yeah. So in your book, you go over all kinds of disease, and including pink eye.
Yep.
And okay. So let's talk a little bit about some of the conditions that they're going on. What are some of the predominant conditions that you've dealt with over the years?
Well, there's a number of them. And believe it or not, there's a disease called polio that's kind of similar to humans with polio, but it's polioencephalomalacia, not polioencephalomyelitis, which is what people get. And it comes on very quickly. It's an acute thiamine deficiency occurs because of the diet and what they're eating and the like, and they need treatment with that within 24 hours or so, or they're going to die. They don't last long. And interesting enough is that an injection of thiamine will bring them back around gradually. And then there's the pneumonia we talked about with Mannheimia, and then you can have dysentery and even salmonella and some things like that. But I'd say the diarrhea part of it is probably going to be 90% of the things that you're going to have to address.
Okay. Well, we're at the end of our time, and we're going to talk a little bit. Hopefully, we're going to have some visits yet this week.
Yes.
Reached out to our poultry kid, and I reached out to one of our pig farmers. So
Okay.
Wednesday and Friday, hopefully, we'll be out visiting. So,
Okay.
all right. So more to come on that. So with that, we're going to call it a day.
Okay.
And remember to go out to his website, Vaca Resources, vacaresources.com, to buy a book, or go to Amazon to buy his latest book, Beyond the Barn, Dodging the Cow Patch for 50 Years as a Country Vet.
Yes.
So, and also Doc Goes Whole Hog, and Ruby wants to say goodbye. Come here, Ruby. All right. Say goodbye. You're supposed to look over here, Ruby, at the camera. Okay.
She loves you.
Yeah. Yeah. Ruby, you've been out and eating something dead? Yeah. Oh, no. We're not doing a kiss. All right. We'll talk everybody on Wednesday. Bye now.